Hello and welcome to another Diva tutorial. Today, we will explain how to use the Axis Tuner utility. It is recommended that you first watch the Axis Tuning Guide and consult the Diva 004 and Diva 030 manuals if you are using one before interacting with the tuner. The Axis Tuner consists of a control window and a graph window. The control window is used to control the axis, whilst the graphical display window illustrates the effects of changes in configuration data on the axis performance. Starting with the control window. You can datum the axis and reset the controller using these buttons. It is required to reset after an error for normal operation to occur. If an error does occur, it will be displayed in this status box. You can apply a voltage by choosing an axis here and then using the buttons in the force section. This applies the voltage in an open loop. You can use the manual section below to apply a speed to the axis in a closed loop. Both controls apply for as long as you hold down the plus or minus buttons. In the closed loop section above, a button will highlight black if the corresponding axis is in a closed loop. You can toggle them manually. The probe section lets you enable the probe and set a speed, which will apply when the probe is enabled, in a closed loop. If you have a calibration, you can select it here. If you want to move an axis to a specific position, you can use the controls in the Move and Auto sections. The single button will move the axis to position 1 or position 2, its destination alternating with each press. The cycle button will cycle the axis between position 1 and position 2. Enabling incremental will apply the positions relative to the current position, and enabling one way will only apply position 2 relative to the current position. You can move multiple axes at once by enabling an axis here and then setting the positions in the same manner as for a single axis. The interrupt section is useful if you are having issues with interrupts. It will tell you the number of collisions and the maximum time between interrupts. The axis input section consists of multiple panels that will highlight when an input is high. This section will display information about the selected axis. The scale bar shows the relationship between the maximum speed defined in the config editor and the actual speed of the axis. The offset bar shows the current offset. The graph will display up to 4 characteristics of the selected axis against time or position on the x-axis. When tuning, you would be interested in the actual velocity, but it can be used for much more. You can scale each characteristic with the drop boxes. The graph will update every time a move is completed by the control window. Thanks for listening to this Diva tutorial. If you have any questions or problems, please consult the Diva manuals for a more in-depth explanation or email support@diva.co.uk.